They didn't just knock down my barn, they wiped out 5 years of my life, like it was a mistake with the yard 1 minute. I was feeding my cows and planning the day the next. A big digging machine was smashing into the center of everything I'd made. 30 cows stood there crying out, confused and scared. While that mean HOA lady smiled like she'd just saved the world from the danger of farm charm, all because my barn on my land didn't match her idea of a fancy vacation. Look, yeah, that happened. Let me go back a bit. I'm West Dalton. 8 years ago, I bought a dusty piece of land outside Canyon Springs, 10 acres of nothing but thorny trees, dead plants, and broken fence lines. Most people saw a waste of money. I saw a fresh start. I cleared the land. Myself mixed concrete by hand and built my first barn with a few friends. A whole lot of coffee and more wood splinters than I want to remember. It wasn't fancy, but it was strong, and it housed the cows I raised from babies. Real Texas beef, not pretty. Animals for city people. Then Ridgate Vista showed up some builder, with more big dreams than common sense, decided our little corner of hill country needed a rich people, who thought owning a cowboy hat made them real, and with that came the HOA, and with the HOA came Leah Brantley, old PR. Lady married into oil money and totally focused on cleaning the countryside of anything that smelled like real work, especially. My barn, she hated it, said it was ugly and messed up the neighborhoods. Look, whatever that means. Next thing? I know the county's sending a crew with a teardown order. No warning, no heads up. No talking, just metal teeth ripping into wood beams. Worked hard on I ran out yelling. Confused the machine guy wouldn't look at me. Just handed me a folded piece of paper, county. Stamp, cold lawyer words, and Leah's name written at the bottom like a death sentence. And there she was, fancy shirt iced. Tea in hand, not a bit of dirt on her Good Morning Wes, she said like she was saying hi at a party. I do hope you understand it's about keeping up neighborhood rules, that was her excuse. Neighborhood rules, I wish I could tell you I screamed something or gave some movie-like speech, but I just stood there shocked watching $30. Zero of wood and work fall into pieces while my cows cried behind me, but she wasn't done within a week. I'd been cut off from the shared water well her HOA said my cow poop was threatening their fake lake. Even though my land sits higher up and basic gravity still works, she called a meeting painted me as some kind of nature terrorist. I wasn't even invited to stick up for myself, but word gets around my buddy of the whole room and said we cannot allow farm ugliness to put our water, safety, or house values in danger. Just like that, I was the bad guy. Now I had 30 cows and no water. I borrowed a tank truck, started driving 50 miles every other day, burning through cash just to keep them drinking. Within days, 5 cows died from worry. Had to sell 10 more, really cheap, just to make space, and then came the nature fine. $2,000 for illegal trash, throwing another paper, another signature Leah's name front and center. Lawyers wouldn't touch it. News people didn't want the trouble. Neighbors who used to wave started crossing the street. Local stores stopped letting me buy on credit. I wasn't just being punished, I was being erased, slowly, quietly. Easily. I was sitting on a broken lawn chair one night, thinking maybe I'd just give up, sell what was left, go find work in town, when Marcus showed up with 2 beers and that look he gets when he's got an idea he probably shouldn't say out loud. You still got your old badge? He asked back. Before the ranch, I'd worked jobs for the county, laid pipes, drew drainage maps, installed valves and water stuff for half the area, including springs. It was pumped from the county water tank 5 miles away, and it had emergency drain valves in case of dirty water. Guess who was still listed on the county records as a certified worker? Yep, and guess what else Leah's daughter was getting? Married a big fancy wedding on the lakeside deck, 300 guests, photographers, flying camera. The whole thing. That lake was the background for her dream day, and I was the guy who could turn it. Jump at it, though I thought it through. I reread every rule. I made copies of everything. I filmed my cows, recorded the conditions, wrote out a timeline. If I was going to do this, it had to be clean. Perfect. Sunday came. Parked by the work road, brought a folding chair thermos of black coffee and my old county key from my spot under the big trees. I could see the white tents, hear the fancy music watch servers unload trays of bubbly drinks. It was pretty at 2:30. Sharp, just as the bride began her walk down the aisle. I opened the valve. The water started slow, just a whisper of movement. By 3:10. It was noticeable. Someone near the water edge said, "Hey, doesn't the lake look smaller?" By 3:30, it wasn't a question. Muddy edges, showing rocks, fish flopping where there used to be reflections. The drink hour turned into a sudden disaster response. Photographers were panicking, guests were filming with their phones, and then came the yelling Leia was screaming at. The pump crew demanding they fix it. She didn't know her own fancy water pumps were helping me drain it faster, thousands of gallons a minute, her money doing my work for me. At 4 o'clock, the lake was almost dry. I stepped out from the trees, boots dusty, clipboard in hand, calm as a breeze. Walked right up to her. "You took my barn," I said, loud enough for everyone to hear. "So I took your lake. You'll be arrested," she snapped. I smiled, handed her a copy of my certification. "Just routine county work, ma'am. Drain check, safety rules and all." Someone was live streaming someone else. Started clapping, and Leia, she just stared, mouth opening and closing like a fish left behind in her dried-up lake. Within 48 hours, the county checked my authority. Turns out Ridgegate's lake hadn't been allowed correctly for over 2 years, they find. The HOA Six Figures Nature Review Board started a investigation. Real estate agents pulled house listings. Homeowners threatened to sue. Leia quit quietly with zero celebration. 6 months later, her house went up for sale. I bought it. The view she paid extra money for, that's now my ranch office window. My cows eat grass. Where her lake used to sparkle, the stone path that once led to weddings and wine tastings. It's where my dogs nap in the sun. I hung a new sign at the